The secret to being fast in any sim racing game is to get good at using the brakes. Now that sounds silly really, but the truth is getting the car stopped, slowed down to the right speed and positioned at the apex is the key to setting up a great corner exit. This makes getting back on the gas much easier, much less critical, and in general unlocks so much speed on the corner exit. This video will contain a product review of the Alien Mods load cell brake pedal for the SRP Lite pedals, but I want to deliver value to anybody that watches this video, so we will go through ways that trail braking will make you faster in any racing simulation. So let me explain quickly what trail braking is. So first of all, when you're taught to drive a real car, you are taught to do all of your braking in a straight line before you get to a corner, get off the brakes and then start to turn into the corner. That is the safest way to drive. But we're not driving on roads, we are on racetracks, and safety is less of a concern and lap time is what it's all about. If you are using this technique on a racetrack, then you're leaving some time on the table. Trail braking allows you to brake fractionally later than you would do normally and then carry some of that braking into the corner as you're starting to steer. The critical thing to understand is that as you start to steer, you need to be subtly releasing the brake pedal so you're not overloading the tyres. This blend between braking and steering is the subtle blend you need to master to become a king of trail braking. I have talked about this previously in a different video a long time ago, but I'm going to talk you through it now just to give you a brief overview. So the traction circle is essentially the traction of the tyre that you have, and you have components forwards, backwards, left and right, and on the board we're going to write the cross of the traction circle. So forwards and backwards under braking you've got a 100% traction to the braking and 100% traction to acceleration, and then left and right you've got 100% traction to the left, 100% traction to the right. When you're on full brakes in a straight line you can easily use up to 100% of the tyre's traction. If you're going through a constant radius corner you can easily use 100% of the tyre's traction to the left or to the right. The traction circle explains that we can't use 100% forwards and 100% sideways. So the circle essentially is a circle that links all of the maximums, and you can only ever do 100% of the tyre's grip in any one direction. So if I was to be on the brakes in a straight line, I can use the brakes all the way up to the 100% in a straight line. If I was then starting to add in some sideways element to the tyre's friction, I would be going in this direction, and I'm outside of the traction circle because I'm asking too much of the tyre. So as you can see, as we start to apply some side motion to the tyre's friction, we need to be easing off the brakes, so maybe down to 80% on the brakes here when we're adding 20% steering angle, and then the further down here we go to keep inside the traction circle we need to be easing off the brakes as we're rolling in to the steering. To get the perfect use of the tyres we essentially need to be hovering all around here just inside the traction circle. As we are adding on steering angle we need to be reducing brake input to keep us inside the traction circle up until the point where we at the apex we are no longer on the brakes, we are at 100% steering. And then just to complete the circle guys, same applies when you get back on throttle as you corner exit, getting on the gas, and you want to be winding off the steering. But in this video we are focusing on the braking. So this is the highest level overview of the traction or friction circle. I could go into it in much more detail, but that's going to take a completely different video. Feel free to subscribe for that one. If you did find it useful me using a whiteboard and a marker to explain something, then please let me know in the comments below. Understanding the traction circle is essentially a cheat code for sim racing and indeed real life racing. This is based on physics. Understanding this and you will get faster. Moving on, let's talk now about equipment. There are two trains of thought when it comes to equipment. The first one, equipment doesn't matter. A fast driver will be fast no matter what equipment they have. And yes, I do agree with this. A fast driver who understands the traction circle, no matter what equipment they have, even if they have a budget Logitech G29 wheel, will be faster than an average racing driver with the best equipment that money can buy. And the other train of thought is that equipment does matter. Better equipment will make you faster. And I also kind of agree with this at the same time, but perhaps not in the way that you expect. I think familiarity with your equipment is worth way more than the actual performance of your equipment. For example, if we have a driver with a Logitech G29, they're a fast driver that can set top 10 lap times in the world with their Logitech G29. They've had thousands of hours driving with that pedal setup, with that wheel setup. I guarantee you, if you gave them the best setup that money can buy, they will be slower. And this is mainly because of familiarity. Humans rely on muscle memory and learned behavior. Being familiar with your own equipment, there is no substitute for that. However, given time to adapt to the new equipment, get used to it, get used to the way things feel, get used to the brake pressures, then perhaps they have more potential to be even faster than they were. And this brings me on to the main topic of this video, and that is the load cell brake pedal. Now, to understand what that means, there are two types of brake pedals available in sim racing. There is a potentiometer or Hall effect sensor pedal, which measures the distance that the brake pedal moves. The other kind of brake pedal used in sim racing is a load cell brake pedal, and this is a measurement of the force you're pressing onto the brake pedal with. This is a more accurate representation of how real cars brake, because it is a brake cylinder that's being pushed, and it exerts physical pressure onto the brake discs through the calipers, and that provides the friction to slow the car down. Now, I've been sim racing for over 30 years, and up until this point I've only ever used a distance based pedal. I've been so familiar with it. 30 years is a lot of muscle memory to build up. I feel like I was perfectly dialed in for trail braking. I felt 100% connected to the motion of moving my foot off of the brake pedal against the spring as I start to steer into the corner and get that trail braking nailed. Now, in the past 6 months, I've switched to the MOZA R5 bundle with the SRP Lite pedals, and again with the distance-based pedal, I felt like I was pretty connected. I felt really dialed into the car. Now, I've recently been given the opportunity to try out the Alien Mods load cell kits for the MOZA SRP Lite pedals. These are specifically for the pedals that come with the R5 bundle and the R3 bundle. This is a great way to update your current pedals that are distance-based Hall effect sensors to be a load cell. I'm going to quickly run you through the installation process right now. The box you will receive from Alien Mods will be very nicely packaged with a foam topper to it. You've got a decal sheet in there. Removing everything from the box, it's nicely included in a 3D printed tray. Included is the spring cup, a mini nut driver, and the actual load cell, which is screwed to the frame for secure transport. Using the nut driver and the Allen keys that would have come with your MOZA R5 or R3 bundle, remove the load cell pedal from the frame. Now you need to remove the lower part of the brake performance kit from the back of your brake pedal. This mod does require brake performance kits from MOZA for the SRP Lite pedals. Remove the 4 screws from the lower part of the brake performance kit. This removes the lower spring holder from the MOZA brake performance kit. And this leaves us with the flat plate, which we're going to install the Alien Mods load cell brake pedal kit. There is a full website instruction breakdown on exactly how you can install this. I would highly recommend going to reference this, but essentially we screw it to the lower MOZA brake performance kit plate using the supplied nuts, and we can use the handily included mini nut driver to help snug those nuts down. And you can see here that the Alien Mods load cell unit replaces the cylinder that holds the elastomer cup. Now we simply reassemble it to the back of our brake pedal. I've gone back to using the standard spring and elastomer that come with the MOZA brake performance kit. But the beauty of this is that the elastomer and the spring can all be tuned to get the weight of the pedal exactly how you want it to be. And then with everything lined up and installed, we simply click it back into place how the original brake performance kit is installed. Now we need to plug it in, which unfortunately means removing the brake pedal from the pedal plate, but it shouldn't take too long. Then we need to remove all of the cables that plug into the brake pedal. Once you have the brake pedal isolated, you need to remove the 3 screws which cover the electronics plate. Once you have the lid off, you have access to the plug that we need to switch out. Essentially, we will be unplugging the Hall effect sensor and plugging in the load cell from the Alien Mods load cell. Following the recommended cable routing from the online instructions, you want to plug this into the port that we removed the Hall effect sensor from. Now we need to put aside the original cable that we unplugged and place the PCB back down onto the 3 posts. This probably was the trickiest part of the installation, just getting the cable nicely tucked away to one side, but with a little bit of fiddling you can get it perfect. Reinstall the top plate with the 3 screws that you removed. And there you go, your Alien Mods brake load cell pedal sensor has been installed, and you can now start to put the brake pedal back into the pedal plate exactly how you removed it. Plug in the throttle pedal, the clutch pedal if you have it, and also the onward wheelbase connection back to the main wheelbase. This completes the hardware side of the installation. Let's go to the software now. And as far as the MOZA hardware knows, nothing has changed. What we have changed behind the scenes is that instead of a Hall effect sensor on the brake pedal, it's a load cell sensor on the brake pedal. But as far as the software knows, nothing changes. It works exactly as it does before. All we need to do is recalibrate our new maximums. And to do this, we head over to the pedals tab, and specifically down we scroll down to start calibration on the brake pedals tab. So click on start calibration and then we choose start calibration. Now we have 10 seconds to hit maximum on the brake, so press as hard as you can on the brake pedal and release it, and then calibration is complete. That will calibrate the maximum available to you for the brake pedal. So I think it's up to 70 kilograms of brake force that this load cell pedal can deal with, and that's way more than I would like to press. Now, as you can see specifically on my one in the middle, I can press way harder than I've set my maximum because my maximum is my chosen maximum brake strength that I would like to press the pedal. This now is directly up to how you would like it to be. And the best way to set this, I think, is to head back to the main tab, the home screen, and then down here on the brake pedal, you can hold a maximum and then click on set, and that sets a new maximum. So for example here, it recommends, Alien Mods recommend to do this with your eyes closed. You go to what you feel like is a maximum brake pressure, press that set button, and that will be your maximum brake pressure. Now what I do is, there's a bit of a feel, I can feel it stopping, bottoming out on the spring where it hits the elastomer. I like that to be my maximum, and that's what I set it to. Then I click on set, and that is my brake maximum in any game I'm going to play. Switching back to the brake pedals tab, you can subtly adjust that maximum if you want to. So it looks like I've got it set to 33%. Now I could just click and hold this and drag this along here. In fact, I can do this while I've got a brake pedal pressed to see where we want it to go, but I'm going to set it back to 33%. Now you can use all of the functions and features from the MOZA Pithouse software for the brake pedal. If you want to set a profile to it, a bit of exponential, positive or negative, that's all completely down to you. And you can get used to the way the brake feels by looking at the brake trace at the top of the screen, and you can see how you want to roll off the brakes. So you hit the maximum brakes, trail brake off, and try and work on getting this as smooth decline as possible. You can also try and hit 50% as well. That's a good exercise to do with your eyes open, also with your eyes closed, to see if you can still keep hitting those 50% and see how you go. I was slightly overshooting there, but again, this is good brake training. Once you're loaded up into your game of choice, it's always a good idea to check the brake pedal configuration and calibration. So for example, in Gran Turismo 7, I'm going to head up to options, head across to controllers, head over to steering and controller settings, and I'm just going to check that the brake pedal maximum feels like it should be, and then acceleration, just check everything's configured as it should be, and it feels absolutely perfect. So me, that hard stop that I set in the MOZA Pithouse software feels exactly where it should be. You can calibrate and recalibrate if you need to, but I am perfectly happy with the way this feels. Now if you are interested in understanding how I'm using MOZA equipment on my PlayStation 5, then I have got another video. Check out the videos linked in the description below. Now, do you remember what I said at the start of this video about familiarity being the most important thing when it comes to sim racing hardware? Now I've got to say, after using the load cell brake pedal for a good couple of weeks now, I'm incredibly impressed at how natural this feels, and for something to feel so natural, it doesn't take very long at all to get familiar with the way this drives. Now let's run a few laps around Spa in the Mercedes AMG GT3 car, and yeah, just the way the pedal feels is superb. You really can just get on the brakes, and then at the right moment in time just start to lift off the brakes as you're turning in, using those trail braking techniques I explained earlier in the video. And for the first time using a brake pedal in a sim racing game, I actually feel like I've got some correlation between the weight that I'm pushing the brake pedal and the amount the car is slowing down, and how that transitions into the way the car flows into the corners. Now I'm going to try and zoom in on the brake pedal trace so you can see me trail braking into these corners here. So hold on the brakes. As we start to steer, we roll off the brakes, and then we just start to cruise the car around the corner. Now as you get used to different cars, different techniques, cars that don't use ABS for example, trail braking is going to unlock so much speed for you. Big braking zone here. Now we're going to get on the brakes just before the bridge, roll off the brakes as we turn into the corner. We've got the steering lock on now and rolling back onto the throttle through this sequence of corners here, side loading the tyres only. Another braking zone appearing on the brakes, rolling off the brakes as we start to steer into the corner and getting on the gas for the corner exit. Now this is a really big braking zone just after the white line, just at the boards, and hard on the brakes all the way down through the gears, and then just rolling off the brakes as we start to turn into the corner, which perfectly hooks up with the apex, and then rolling onto throttle on corner exit. Now braking with the load cell pedal, it feels natural, it feels intuitive, and I'm really impressed. It really didn't take too much time at all to get familiar and comfortable using the Alien Mods load cell brake pedal. I had two concerns over just load cell pedals in general. The first concern that I had is that I would never really feel a natural maximum brake, and I think I was a little bit worried that a load cell brake pedal wouldn't have any travel in the pedal, and this is completely untrue, because there is still a good amount of travel in the brake pedal. I'm pushing I don't know, maybe 5 centimeters worth of brake travel, and I can feel the end stop of the brake pedal, and I calibrated this to be my maximum. You can tune it to however you want it to be. You can set your maximum up to 70 kilograms of brake pressure. The second concern that I had is that it would be a little bit too sensitive at the very start of the brake travel, so it'd just be touching, brushing on the brake pedal, and the brakes coming on when I didn't want them to. Now that also isn't true with this pedal at all, so there is a little bit of minimum force required to get the brakes to activate, and that is great if you're ever resting your brake foot on the brake pedal, or you brush it by mistake. It does require a little bit of force to get that first initial activation. So to wrap all of this up, is the Alien Mods load cell brake pedal kit for the SRP Lite pedals worth it? And quite honestly guys, it's a resounding yes. I'd go as far as saying that this is a flawless product for anybody on a budget looking to get a load cell brake pedal upgrade for their MOZA R5 or R3 pedal bundles. And this is such a fantastic thing to have. It will require a little bit of manual installation, but if we are using sim racing equipment and screwing them to sim rigs, then we're going to be using the spanners at some point anyway, and it isn't particularly difficult to do. It is taking a few screws apart, switching a cable, and then screwing it all back together again. I will have a bunch of useful links in the description below for everything you need. Links to the Alien Mods website for where you can get your own load cell brake pedal, and also links to GT Omega where you can get 5% discount off anything at GT Omega. And the load cell brake pedal works so well combined with any GT Omega wheel stand. I use the classic wheel stand. Having it screwed to a classic wheel stand or a proper sim rig really does enhance the feel of the brake pedal. You've got a real solid base to use when you're using the brake pedal. I would like to say a big thank you to Alex from Alien Mods. If you do want to go and speak to him, his contact details will be on the Alien Mods website. He's a fantastic guy to speak to, very passionate, and buying this Alien Mods load cell brake pedal set is supporting basically a small business. This guy does small batches of these things, and he's passionate about sim racing. He wants to bring fantastic quality hardware to lower budget sim racers like myself. If you have enjoyed this video and you would like to know more about my R5 wheelbase, I've got a full review of the MOZA R5 bundle on my channel. It's on screen right now. Go and check that out, and we'll catch you in the next one.